view, John, the future of the channel today? How can channel partners develop their own offering and navigate sort of more complex managed solutions as the sort of cyber security landscape continues? Because let's be honest, it's so hard to keep up. There is so many vendors coming out. It's the right space. It's the sexy space to be at the moment. Well, it has been for the last 3 or 4 years, security. It's quite hard for partners to keep up with the amount of change all the time, isn't it? And every year there's a new vendor coming out that's going to be the next big thing.
So look, I think, first of all, those partners need to place bets. Yeah. They've got to have an understanding of the technologies that they're taking out to market, and they've got to be able to do what they say on their own tin. Yeah. So I think there is evidently some vendor consolidation going on. Yeah. I think there's lots of noise in the background. I think you have to keep yourself open to that noise. You've got to, right? You need to understand who's going to be the players in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, in 5 years' time. You know, we wouldn't have the partnerships that we've got now if 5 years ago people didn't have the foresight to hear our noise. Yeah. But I think vendors and the channel want to see that vendors do what they say they're going to do. Yeah. And I think that holds. And I think with that you get loyalty. Yeah. And then the channel give you loyalty and we give them loyalty. And that feeds, that's self-perpetuating. So I think, look, there is a little bit of consolidation going on. There's always noise. Yeah, that have got to do it. You've got functions inside of business partners that help you consolidate that noise. Ultimately, they're going to listen to their customers. And we were lucky enough to be blowing away some of the biggest banks, telecommunications, retailers in the world that were making noise about us and still do. Yeah. And
so you had the end user demand already knocking on the door saying, hear these people, but there's a lot of vendors that won't have that, will they?
And that's hard yards.
I was going to say it's hard graft.
That's really hard yards, and you've really got to take a leap of faith in order to do that. And look, everyone wants to manage their own risk. Yeah, you've got to have a risk portfolio around the products that you're taking to market. We were very lucky, right? Or not, we were lucky. We had a sales proposition which was these largest enterprise organisations on the globe are deploying our technology. They're deploying it across Europe, and they were talking about it. And once they start to talk about it to their partner set, and their partner set start to understand there's a demand there, then they want to hear about it.
Because what's unusual when you told me over lunch was enterprise customers at mid-market, and you were turning away deals with 6,000-7,000 users saying, nah, it's not quite big enough. And yet now you've gone right down to SMEs. So that's an advantage in some ways, isn't it? Because you've got the big case studies from massive companies. So when a company of 500 companies users turns up, it's like, well, we've got Bank of America or whoever it is.
So look, I'd say, we did the hard way round. Yeah. The sales cycles in some of those organisations were long and arduous, but ultimately very rewarding for all sides of the fence. But we do have that referenceability in the high-end enterprises. What we started to realise, was that whilst we were applicable to that 10,000 endpoints and above, that channel could help us get leverage into 10,000 users, not just above, but below as well. But we knew that segment of the marketplace needed more hand-holding, that they didn't have the resources and rich abundance of resources to manage a platform like Tanium. But actually what they did have was great channel relationships that did manage platforms for them or did allow them to consume something as a service. So we took our managed service provider program, we trialled it in Switzerland to start with, we then got great acceptance there, we took it up to the Nordics, then we took it to the Benelux. It's a global program now, right? Which something I'm really proud of, that was born in Europe, used in America. Yeah,
fantastic.
And it's fantastic, and our channel partners are 100% part of that business.
Now, John, you're a real good person to ask this question because not only have you worked in all aspects of the channel, end user, channel, you also sort out the technology to go and work for this company. So my question is, when people are thinking about what part of the channel to work in and what sector and what technology, what do you think they should consider? Because you specifically, you saw a technology and then went after it. Not many people do that. So what should people consider when they think, oh, actually, I want to move but I'm not sure where to go and what to look for.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of polished turds in the marketplace, right? And I think folk need to be really wary of that. Okay, you've got to look at end user sales acceptance, right? Is the technology that someone's selling, or is the value proposition that they're taking to market sales accepted by an end user community? Will people actually buy it? Yeah, are they buying it? Is it addressing a real problem? And finally, do you understand it? Okay, I don't think I've ever been in a technology space that I didn't understand. There are plenty of technology spaces I don't understand that are dark boxes in dark data centers that do dark things. Yeah, and I veered away from those,
Right.
because I just couldn't get my head around them. Now I've got a degree in computer science, right? So if I'm struggling to get my head around them, then my philosophy is, well, an end user could struggle to get their head around them, right? So just don't go there, because they're too difficult to transfer what the real value is of those technologies. So always stay with something you understand. Yeah. Don't get hung up on the divisional aspect of vendor, reseller, distributor, right? It's about what you're doing and the experiences that you're gaining. Yeah. But try and gain many experiences. Yeah. Because those many experiences will give you a roundedness. And that roundedness you can take to your next job and your next job and your next job. And I think that's what's important, and that's where the diversity thing comes in.
You're a great person to ask this as well, because you were the first person on the ground for the channel at Tanium. You've got 30 in your team now. Now, you've probably got lots and lots of ambitious people in your team knocking on your door, wanting to get promotion or wanting to get into managerial roles, etc. So what advice would you give to an ambitious person within your team or someone else's team that really wants to get on the career ladder and establish himself within Tanium or another business?
Yeah, so look, I think we addressed some of this earlier on. The first thing is, make sure you've got a good mentor in the business, and make sure that mentor and that leadership team knows that you want to get on with the business. Because we don't work through some sort of mind interference, and we work it out for ourselves. Yeah, people have to make that plain that that's what they want to do. Use your account to go and sell your capabilities. Don't just tell someone you're brilliant, show them you're brilliant. Okay, be patient. Yeah, because maybe the first job that comes up and the first potential promotion is not the right one for you, or maybe you're not ready for that. But if that individual doesn't get that job, make it clear why they didn't. Okay, because if you don't and you just leave them sat there pondering, first of all, they're not going to accept that manager who they may now need to report to, which is always a bit awkward. But they're never going to know what they need to improve on to make that next step. And there's a lot of coaching, that needs to go on in our industry. And sometimes I think our industry is a little bit guilty of hiring people and then just expecting them to do the job because they did a great job at another vendor or another reseller or another distributor. And you just think they're going to do a great job here. And they need that coaching, they need that mentoring.
Do you think there's a balance to that? Because there's a lot of people say, oh yeah, I like the autonomy to do what I want, which is being left alone. Or they, John's asking me to do X, Y, Z, and he's like micromanaging me. So where does the balance between micromanagement, autonomy, and coaching come into it?
Yeah. So look. First of all, not everyone wants to be a manager. Yeah. Not everyone wants to change roles. And as a leader in a business, you don't want everyone to be wanting to be a manager or wanting to change roles.
Yeah.
You need people that are in situ, want to stay in situ, but want to be excellent whilst they're doing that. Okay.
Do you prefer that, John? Do you prefer someone actually? Because I said to you earlier about if 4 people come for a job for the manager role, and then you're disappointing 3 people, you've then almost got 3 disgruntled people. Do you prefer actually someone who actually wants to come and do a great job, and isn't bothered about promotion?
Look, I want all of the above.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So being a little bit greedy on that one, I want all of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want people to be able to be excellent in the job that they do, and know that they've got a career if they want to stay in that job. But I also want people to know that there's transference available to them. So, I think I said earlier, one of my highest performers is someone that's come from the direct sales organisation inside of Tanium. So if you're in direct sales, maybe elsewhere there's a perception that you're on a different division. Yeah, she has come into my business. Yeah, and she's one of the outstanding performers in that business.
John, would she see, with the, again, perceptions, would the perception internally see that as a sideways move or a promotion or a demotion? Because, again, people would look at me and think, end user sales role go into a channel role. It's like, why would they do that?
If they did, they're not now.
Not now.
Okay, they're now looking, and it's interesting because you get other people looking over the fence saying,
yeah,
well, maybe I should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if they did, and there would have been people that did, without a doubt. I think those folk are now saying, well, actually, she's done really well for herself for now, and I can see why she would have done that, and now she's got a path to follow. Whereas maybe she didn't see that path before, or maybe she just wanted a different direction.
And also broader experience, like you said.
Absolutely.
Always go back to another sales role.
She goes back into a direct selling business, then she takes all of that channel worthiness with her, and she now knows that when she's going to talk to an end user, how to use that channel ecosystem. It's invaluable.
Yeah, it's definitely not a hindrance, is it? That's
no,
for
it's
sure.
not. It's not.
Definitely. Now, you've interviewed a lot of people over the last sort of 5 years, John. What's the biggest turn-off when meeting someone for an interview?
Do you know what? People that tell you how good they are, but haven't got the reference ability to go with it. Yeah, I've seen that on a number of occasions. Yeah, it's ended horribly in a couple of interviews. Not too horribly.
Go on, give me an example. There must be an example.
Look, so we have many different partner types, right? And I've got to be careful here about anonymising, right? Just in case the individual's actually listening or watching. But we were interviewing for a role which was for looking after and managing one of the big four. Okay, so one of the big four advisories, global player, and there's a certain kind of bromide you're looking for, a certain type of skill set. And from the CV, this individual looked like they mapped onto that skill set. And you know what it's like? You start peeling the onion during the course of the interview. So you talk about the account and who they knew in the account and how they'd done. And then you start to go into, well, what programmatics did you run? And they started talking about some of the programmatics that they'd run and started talking big telephone numbers about, where those programmatics had led to. And then you started kind of really peeling and really scratching and asking about, well, where's the money? And how much did it get there? And what was the deal? What did it look like? How did it close? And during the course of that peeling the onion, and this was like just as COVID had hit, right? So we were on Zoom. And it was one of the first hires I was going to have to make without actually meeting the individual. But the individual had obviously forgot that they got their camera on. And you could see the body language changing as the onion started to peel. You could see the body language changing. You could see the face start to redden just a little bit. You could see the arms starting to cross and the scratched legs. And the next thing I know, this individual bends down and starts going underneath their desk.
Shut up, John.
Stop. Had forgot that they were on camera. And they're in. And you could see that the stress levels were getting a bit high. And all of a sudden there was this huge plume of smoke come up. So I'm like, are you okay? Is there a fire in your house? Do you need to leave? Do you need to leave?
Stop it.
And it obviously forgot that the camera was on and needed a nicotine hit during the course of this. So all you could see was this plume of smoke coming up. And I'm like, are you okay? I mean, I knew exactly what was happening, right? I'm like, are you okay? Is there a fire in your house? Do you need to close down? Are you all right? Do you need to get out? And he's like, no, it's okay. Well, we closed it down pretty quickly after that.
That
really,
is seriously
happened.
They bent down, had a puff of a cigarette, and
it was obviously on a vape, right?
Oh.
So the smoke plumes were huge. They were coming out, and I could see it. And at first I did think it was a fire, but it wasn't. And then we stopped the interview pretty soon after that.
That's the biggest turn off for it. You've almost given me the funniest moment because that's even that's brilliant, that one. But what about a funniest moment as you've been a candidate either, a candidate or a hiring manager, or you've heard? I told you at lunch, Neil Burton tops it for me. He gave me the best one, which I'll let you listen to after the show. I won't tell you it. But our last question is: have you got a funniest moment that you think either as a candidate or you've interviewed? Because that one was pretty funny, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's right up there.
Yeah.
That's right up there, right? If someone's getting to the point where they're blowing plumes of smoke out of their mouth, and actually what you've done is you've kind of rumbled that maybe the deal wasn't theirs,
yeah,
and maybe there was a degree of fabrication on the CV. Look, we all have nice glossy CVs.
Yeah.
But what you want to get to is the truth underneath those and the capabilities and skill sets that they've got. And unfortunately, that individual wasn't as truthful as maybe he thought he was being.
Yeah, absolutely. John, you've been a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for your time.
Been a pleasure. Cheers.